Welcome to Christie Shadows, your haven for timeless mysteries and chilling whodunits. I'm your host, Eliza Hart, here to whisk you away into the foggy elegance of 1920s Britain. Tonight, we delve into an original tale inspired by the Queen of Crime herself, Poison Under the Marble Dome, a Hercule Poirot Killer Story. Picture a grand estate, a sealed chamber of glass and marble, and a poison that strikes where no one could reach. Will Poirot unravel the impossible? Chapter 1. Introduction and Setup. Welcome to Christie Shadows, my dear listeners, where the fog of mystery cloaks every tale, and the truth lies just beyond the shadows. I'm your host, Eliza Hart, inviting you to settle into a luxurious evening of suspense. Tonight, we embark on an original journey inspired by the unparalleled Agatha Christie, Poison Under the Marble Dome, a Hercule Poirot Killer Story. Picture a grand English estate in 1925. Its heart a shimmering conservatory of marble and glass, where a poison strikes in a room no murderer could enter. How will the inimitable Poirot unravel this impossibility? Grab a cup of tea. Mind you, check the ice if you're sipping brandy. And let's lose ourselves in this 90-minute odyssey of deception. I'd love to know, where are you joining us from tonight? A cozy London nook, a countryside cottage, or somewhere far across the globe? Drop it in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales to chill your soul. Now, let the curtain rise. Visuals zoom into Ashford Manor's ivy-clad facade. It was the autumn of 1925. And the air around Ashford Manor carried the crisp bite of secrets. The estate, nestled in the verdant hills just beyond London's sprawl, stood as a testament to an England both proud and crumbling. Its Georgian spires pierced the sky. Its windows gleamed with the weight of centuries, and its grounds whispered of faded fortunes. At the heart of this grand friend and chronicler, whose boyish enthusiasm contrasted Poirot's methodical calm. Mon ami, Poirot remarked as the manor loomed into view, his voice a soft melody of French-accented precision. This Ashford Manor, it is magnificent, oui, but it hides a darkness. The English, they build such places to conceal their debts and their sins. Hastings chuckled, adjusting his tweed cap. You're always sniffing out trouble, Poirot. Lord Ashford invited us for a spot of art theft business, not murder. Those missing Fabergé eggs and Renaissance sketches. Nasty bit of thievery, but hardly sinister. Poirot's eyes gleamed. The little grey cells, Hastings, they stir. Art theft is but a symptom. Where there is greed, there is always a deeper poison. Visuals shift to the manor's grand entrance hall, crystal chandeliers sparkling. Lord Edmund Ashford greeted them at the door, a tall man in his mid-50s with a hawkish nose and threadbare tweeds that betrayed his strained finances. His handshake was firm, but his smile flickered like a candle in a draught. Monsieur Poirot, Captain Hastings, your presence honors us. These thefts, most vexing. A Fabergé egg vanished last month, then a Da Vinci sketch. I trust your genius will restore order. Poirot bowed slightly. Order, Lord Ashford, is my profession. But tell me, who joins us this weekend? Splendid guests, Lord Ashford replied, leading them into the drawing room. Come, meet them. The drawing room was a study in opulence. Velvet drapes, mahogany paneling, and a fire crackling in a hearth carved with cherubs. The air smelled of cigar smoke and old money. though Poirot noted the frayed edges of the rugs, a silent cry of financial decay. Lord Ashford's troubles were no secret in London circles. War debts and reckless investments had pushed him to the brink, and his salvation lay in the hands of one man, Sir Reginald Blackwood, a financier whose wealth could resurrect empires, or ruin them. Sir Reginald dominated the room like a storm cloud, a burly man in his 60s, with a ruddy high from racetracks and card tables, gave him a motive as clear as the dome's glass. He flashed Poirot a lazy smile. "Hope you're not here to spoil the party, old boy." Lady Violet Ashford entered next, a vision of elegance in a sapphire gown that shimmered like the dome's panes. At 40, her porcelain beauty was untouched by time, but her violet eyes held the unease of a cornered fox. She extended a gloved hand to Poirot, her smile practiced. "Monsieur Poirot, your reputation precedes you. I trust you'll find our thief swiftly." Her voice was honeyed, but Poirot noted the locket at her throat. A tiny heart that clicked open too often, perhaps hiding a secret. Whispers linked her to Sir Reginald. An affair, or something darker like blackmail? Dr. Elias Grant, the family physician, stood by the fire, his bespectacled face set in a perpetual scowl. Middle-aged and wiry, he clutched a sherry glass as if it anchored him. Sir Reginald had nearly ruined him with a lawsuit over a botched surgery on a mutual friend, a case that left Grant's practice teetering. His gaze on Sir Reginald was venomous, and Poirot noted a tremor in his hand. Revenge, the detective mused, is a poison of its own. Finally, Miss Eleanor Price, Sir Reginald's secretary, hovered at the room's edge, her plain features obscured by a severe bun and horn-rimmed glasses. Her notebook was ever present, her pencil scratching figures with the precision of a metronome. Yet her eyes lingered on Charles Blackwood, a flush betraying emotions beyond ledgers. Rumors swirled that she'd siphoned funds from Sir Reginald's accounts. Embezzlement to fund a life with Charles, perhaps. Her quiet ambition was a blade wrapped in silk. Visuals linger on suspects' faces. Lady Violet's locket, Charles's cigarette case, Dr. Grant's scowl. As cocktails flowed, the room buzzed with undercurrents. Lord Ashford spoke too loud. "Dome," he murmured to Hastings. "It is a stage for beauty and for treachery. Mark my words, mon ami. The poison is already here." Chapter 2. Arrival and Tensions Build. Welcome back to Christie Shadows, dear listeners, where the threads of deceit are woven tight. I'm Eliza Hart, your guide through this fog of intrigue. If you're just joining us for Poison Under the Marble Dome, our Hercule Poirot tale, you're in for a treat. Last we left off, the grand Ashford Manor opened its doors to Poirot and Hastings, revealing a cast of guests with secrets as deep as the estate's shadows. Tonight, we dine with danger as tensions simmer beneath polite smiles. Where are you listening from? A fireside armchair, perhaps? Or a bustling cafe? Drop it in the comments, and let's dive into Chapter 2. Like and subscribe to keep the mysteries coming. The Great Hall of Ashford Manor was a cathedral of opulence, its vaulted ceiling painted with faded cherubs, its walls lined with portraits of Ashfords long gone. On this Friday evening in autumn 1925, the air was thick with the scent of roast pheasant, cigar smoke, and something less tangible: suspicion. The guests had gathered for dinner. their finery a stark contrast to the undercurrents of unease that rippled through the room. Hercule Poirot, seated at the table's far end, observed with the precision of a watchmaker, his green eyes catching every glance, every tremor. Captain Hastings, ever his cheerful shadow, whispered, "Quite the spread, Poirot. But this lot seems ready to choke on more than the soup." "Précisément, mon ami," Poirot replied, his voice a soft murmur. "The human heart, it is a banquet of motives. And tonight, I sense the menu includes poison." His mustache twitched as he sipped his tisane, a delicate porcelain cup cradled in his gloved hands. Clink up to Lord Ashford at the table's head. Lord Edmund Ashford presided over the dinner with the forced joviality of a man staring down ruin. His tweeds, though heart-shaped locket at her throat. "Let's not spoil the evening with talk of theft," she said, her voice like velvet over steel. "Monsieur Poirot will sort it out, won't you?" Her violet eyes met Poirot's, pleading yet guarded. The detective inclined his head, noting the locket's clasp, worn as if opened too often. A lover's portrait, perhaps? Whispers linked her to Sir Reginald, and Poirot's little gray cells catalogued the possibility: passion or blackmail. Charles Blackwood, Sir Reginald's nephew, lounged with the careless grace of a man born to charm. His tailored suit gleamed, but his cigarette case, engraved with his initials, was dented, a relic of reckless nights. "Monsieur Poirot," he drawled, exhaling smoke, "hope you're not here to cramp my style. I've a poker game lined up later." His smirk faltered as Sir Reginald snorted, "Poker? You'll gamble away my fortune before it's yours, boy." Charles's motive was clear. His uncle's will favored charity, leaving him penniless unless the old man died. Poirot observed the flicker of resentment in Charles's eyes. Dr. Elias Grant, the family physician, sat rigidly, his bespectacled face a mask of barely concealed contempt. His sherry glass trembled as Sir Reginald spoke, a reminder of the lawsuit that had nearly destroyed his practice. "Justice," Grant muttered, so low only Poirot caught it. "Justice is long overdue." The detective's gaze lingered on Grant's medical bag resting by his chair. A vial of cyanide used for research had gone missing that afternoon. Grant claimed it misplaced, but Poirot filed the detail away. A red herring or a clue? Miss Eleanor Price, Sir Reginald's secretary, hovered at the table's edge, her notebook tucked under her arm like a shield. Her plain features were softened by the candlelight, but her eyes betrayed a quiet intensity, especially when they lingered on Charles Blackwood. She managed Sir Reginald's ledgers, and rumors of embezzlement swirled, funds siphoned to fuel her dreams, perhaps of a life with Charles, brushing his bag. Poirot, ever the observer, noted subtleties. A red thread, fine and silken, caught on the edge of Lady Violet's chair, matching her shawl, perhaps a clue to her movements. A servant, Jenny, polished a silver ice bucket on the sideboard, its cubes glistening like jewels in the candlelight. Poirot's eyes narrowed. The bucket would be wheeled to the marble dome tomorrow, a detail that stirred his methodical mind. He overheard Charles whisper to Miss Price, "Meet me later, by the conservatory." Her nod was hesitant, her blush deeper. Visuals linger on Poirot's thoughtful expression. After dinner, the guests adjourned to the drawing room for coffee and liqueurs. Sir Reginald held court, boasting of his steel mills and shipping lines, while Lord Ashford nodded eagerly, his desperation palpable. Lady Violet played the pianoforte, her notes faltering when Sir Reginald brushed past her. Charles slipped out, claiming a cigarette break. but Poirot glimpsed him near the kitchen corridor, where the ice bucket was stored. Dr. Grant excused himself to check his bag, returning paler. Miss Price lingered by the window, her gaze following Charles into the night. Hastings leaned to Poirot, his voice low. "Bit of a powder keg, this lot. All this over stolen art? Seems personal." "Personal, oui," Poirot murmured, his eyes on the red thread now tangled in his fingers. "The art is but a distraction, Hastings. The true theft is trust, and perhaps life itself." He glanced at the ice bucket, its lid glinting. "Tomorrow, in the marble dome, we shall see what poison brews." Lord Ashford announced the next evening's dinner in the dome, a private affair, the oak door to be bolted for intimacy. "A toast to solutions," he called, but the clink of glasses sounded hollow. Poirot raised his tisane, his mind racing. The dome, with its sealed door and glass crown, was a puzzle waiting to be solved. And somewhere, in the flicker of candlelight, the poison waited too. Chapter 3. The dinner in the sealed chamber of beauty and treachery. Where are you listening from? A quiet study, a bustling train, or perhaps under the stars? Tell me in the comments, and let's keep unraveling this puzzle. Like and subscribe for more Christie-inspired chills. Visuals enter the marble dome, candlelight flickering on marble columns. On the evening of Saturday, October 1925, Ashford Manor's marble dome was a vision of splendor, a jewel set against the darkening sky. Its circular walls of white marble columns rose to a vast glass dome, through which stars began to peek like curious eyes. Exotic plants, ferns from distant jungles, orchids in shades of crimson and ivory, crowded the humid air, their leaves brushing against a central fountain that sang a soft, deceptive lullaby. At the dome's edge stood a heavy oak door, carved with vines and fitted with a single iron bolt, operable only from within. High windows, sealed and unreachable, ensured no entry save through that door. The stage was set for intimacy, or for murder. Hercule Poirot, his patent leather shoes gleaming, entered the dome with Captain Hastings at his side. The detective's egg-shaped head tilted, his mustache quivering as he surveyed the scene. "Mon ami," he murmured, his voice a velvet whisper. "This dome, it is a paradox, open to the heavens, yet closed to the world. A perfect place for secrets." Hastings, adjusting his tie, grinned. "It's a stunner, Poirot. But all this for dinner? Seems a bit much." "No, Hastings," Poirot replied, his green eyes sharp. "Nothing is too much when motives are at play. Observe, and the little gray cells will reveal all." Visuals show a circular table set with crystal and silver, a sideboard nearby. The dinner party assembled in the dome, their finery illuminated by candelabras that cast long shadows. Her glance at Sir Reginald, fleeting but heavy with meaning. Was it love or a darker bargain? Charles Blackwood, Sir Reginald's nephew, lounged with his usual charm, his cigarette case glinting as he lit a smoke. "Alive, it's a hothouse violet, stifling." His tone was light, but his eyes burned when Sir Reginald mentioned his will, favoring charity over kin. Charles's debts loomed large, and Poirot noted his restless fingers, a man desperate for a windfall. Dr. Elias Grant, the physician, sat stiffly, his spectacles reflecting the candles. His scowl deepened as Sir Reginald jested about his botched surgeries. "Some wounds never heal," Grant muttered, his hand brushing his medical bag, now missing its cyanide vial. Poirot's gaze lingered. Accident or intent? Miss Eleanor Price, Sir Reginald's secretary, hovered near the sideboard, her plain features softened by the glow. Her notebook was absent, but her eyes followed Charles with a quiet hunger. Whispers of embezzlement clung to her, and Poirot noted her proximity to the silver ice bucket, its cubes shimmering like diamonds. "Everything in order, Miss Price?" Sir Reginald teased. She nodded curtly, her blush betraying more than efficiency. Soft splash of the fountain, clatter of plates. Visuals focus on the sideboard where a servant arranges decanters and the ice bucket. The meal was a feast. Pheasant with truffle sauce, roasted vegetables, and claret that flowed like blood. Servants wheeled in the sideboard laden with crystal decanters of brandy and the ice bucket, its contents destined for the fatal glass. Poirot watched Jenny the maid adjust the bucket's lid, her hands steady but her eyes nervous. "The ice," he murmured to Hastings. "It is innocent now, but tomorrow we shall see." Conversation turned strained. Lord Ashford pressed Sir Reginald again. "Your investment, Reginald, could restore the manor. Think of the legacy." Sir Reginald snorted. "Legacy? I think of profits, Edmund. Your debts are a black hole." Lady Violet visuals show Sir Reginald alone, sipping brandy under the glass dome. The guests dispersed to the drawing room, their alibis forming like shadows. Lord Ashford claimed he retired to the library, but Poirot noted a tampered clock on the mantel, its hands suspiciously askew. Lady Violet lingered with her jewels, a ruby ring missing from her collection. Charles vanished for a smoke, seen near the kitchen corridor. Dr. Grant checked his bag again, his face pale. Miss Price scribbled in her notebook, her eyes darting to the dome's silhouette. 30 minutes passed. Jenny, sent to clear the dome, approached the oak door. It resisted, bolted fast. Peering through the high vent, she gasped, her scream piercing the night. "He's dead! Sir Reginald, he's dead!" The guests rushed back, Poirot at the fore, his mustache quivering. "Do not touch," he commanded, his voice sharp. "Order, mes amis, order!" Shrill scream, hurried footsteps. Visual zoomed to Sir Reginald slumped at the table, his face blue, a faint almond scent in the air. The door was forced, the bolt groaning. Inside, Sir Reginald lay slumped, his brandy glass half empty, a puddle of melted ice beside it. The air carried the bitter tang of almonds. Cyanide. The decanter was clean, the glass tainted. The dome was sealed, no footprints in the soil, no marks on the high windows, no vents large enough for entry. Hastings gasped. "Impossible, Poirot. It's a tomb." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "A tomb, oui, but one with secrets. The little gray cells, they begin to dance." He knelt, spotting a red thread near the door. Lady Violet's shawl. The ice bucket sat innocently, its remaining cubes melting. The poison had struck. But how? Chapter 4. The Crime Discovered. Welcome back to Christie Shadows, my dear sleuths, where every clue is a whisper of truth. I'm Eliza Hart, your guide through this maze of deception. If you're with Manor's fate, lay slumped at the circular table. His ruddy face turned a ghastly blue. His brandy glass, half empty, sat beside a puddle of melted ice, and the air carried the faint, bitter scent of almonds, cyanide, unmistakable and deadly. Hercule Poirot stood at the threshold, his patent leather shoes rooted to the marble floor, his mustache quivering with purpose. "Order, mes amis!" he commanded, his voice cutting through the panic. "Touch nothing! The little gray cells demand precision." Captain Hastings, pale but eager, hovered at his side. "Good Lord, Poirot, it's impossible. The door was bolted, the windows sealed. How did the killer get in?" Poirot's green eyes gleamed. "Impossible, Hastings? No. The impossible is merely the improbable in disguise. We begin with facts." He gestured to the oak door, its iron bolt now forced open by the butler's crowbar. The lock was intact, the bolt unmarred, operable only from within. His visuals show Poirot kneeling beside the body, inspecting the glass. The guests crowded behind, their faces a gallery of shock and secrets. Lord Edmund Ashford clutched his wife's arm, his hawkish features ashen. "Reginald, dead. It's unthinkable." His voice cracked, his financial salvation now a corpse. Lady Violet Ashford, her emerald gown shimmering, pressed a handkerchief to her lips, her locket trembling at her throat. "Who could do this?" she whispered, her violet eyes darting to the shadows. Charles Blackwood, Sir Reginald's nephew, stood frozen, his cigarette case forgotten in his hand. His inheritance was closer, yet his eyes betrayed fear, not triumph. Dr. Elias Grant, the physician, pushed forward, his spectacles glinting. "Let me examine him," he demanded, but Poirot waved him back. Miss Eleanor Price, Sir Reginald's secretary, lingered at the rear, her plain features pale, her hands clasped tightly as if to hide a tremor. Poirot knelt beside the body. His glove thread, silken and delicate, lay near the door's base, its hue matching Lady Violet's shawl from the previous evening. "A clue, perhaps?" he mused, pocketing it with a handkerchief. "Or a distraction?" Hastings, pacing, gestured wildly. "It's a locked room, Poirot. No way in, no way out. The poison must have been in the brandy, but how? The decanter's clean." Poirot's mustache twitched. "Patience, mon ami. The how is in the details. The when, the why. These we shall uncover." He turned to the guests, his voice calm but commanding. "Each of you, your movements after dinner. Vite, s'il vous plaît." Solepside of guests' uneasy faces, candlelight casting long shadows. Lord Ashford spoke first, his voice unsteady. "I went to the library to review accounts. Alone, I'm afraid." Poirot noted the library clock, later found stopped at 9:15 p.m. Tampered with, a red herring to muddy his alibi. Lady Violet claimed she retired to her boudoir to catalogue her jewels, but a missing ruby ring, mentioned in passing, raised Poirot's brow. "Lost, madame?" he asked. She flushed, stammering. "Misplaced, perhaps." Charles Blackwood shrugged, his charm strained. "I stepped out for a smoke by the terrace. Ask the footman. He saw me." Yet the footman later recalled Charles near the kitchen, where the ice bucket was prepared. Dr. Grant insisted he'd checked his medical bag in his room, but his pallor and the missing cyanide vial suggested more. Miss Price, her voice barely audible, said she'd been in the drawing room, reviewing Sir Reginald's ledgers. Her notebook, however, was missing a page, and Poirot noted her proximity to the sideboard earlier. The coroner, summoned from London, arrived by midnight, his examination swift but thorough. "Prussic acid, cyanide," he confirmed. Fast acting, but the timing's odd. Death likely occurred 20 minutes after ingestion, yet the body's cold. The glass held the poison's residue, the ice puddle its silent accomplice. No other food or drink was tainted. The dome's sealed nature could delay his salvation or secure it through inheritance ties. Lady Violet's locket and missing rubies suggested blackmail or theft. Her affair with Sir Reginald, a whispered scandal. Charles's debts made him a predator circling his uncle's fortune. Dr. Grant's missing vial and grudge pointed to revenge, while Miss Price's love for Charles and rumored embezzlement wove a tangled web. Poirot lingered in the dome, the fountain splash a counterpoint to his thoughts. He examined the sideboard, noting the bucket's lid slightly askew. A faint almond scent clung to its rim, barely detectable, but enough. "The poison," he murmured. "It was here before the bolt was drawn. But how was it timed?" Hastings, shivering in the humid air, shook his head. "It's a fortress, Poirot. No one could have slipped in after he bolted the door. It's supernatural." "Supernatural?" Poirot scoffed, his mustache bristling. "No, Hastings. The human heart is the only ghost here. We seek logic, not phantoms." He turned to the thread, the bucket, the glass. "The little gray cells, they begin to align. Tomorrow we interrogate, and the truth will stir." A sharp violin sting fading to silence. Visuals zoom out to the dome's silhouette, its glass glinting ominously. Oh, my dear listeners, the dome holds its secrets tight, but Poirot's mind is sharper. Who placed the poison? The thread, the ice, the missing ruby, what do they mean? Drop your guesses in the comments, your suspect, your clue. From where are you sleuthing tonight? Join us for Chapter 5, where the investigation deepens. 2005. Investigation begins. Supporter to litter a faint violin tremolo, play over visuals of Ashford Manor at dawn, mist curling around the marble dome's glass crown. The camera pans to Poirot in the drawing room, his silhouette sharp against a roaring fire. Narrator Eliza Hart's voice, warm and posh with a British lilt, speaks deliberately, pulling listeners into the mystery with the uneasily. The dawn of Sunday, October 1925, broke over Ashford Manor with a chill that matched the mood within. The marble dome, once a beacon of opulence, now stood as a silent witness to murder. Its marble columns and glass dome, catching the pale morning light, seemed to mock the chaos below. Sir Reginald Blackwood's body had been removed by the coroner, but the scene lingered in every mind. The half-empty brandy glass, the puddle of melted ice, the bitter almond scent of cyanide. The oak door bolted from within, and the sealed windows made the crime impossible. Yet it had happened. Hercule Poirot stood in the drawing room, his patent leather shoes gleaming, his mustache a perfect crescent of determination. Before him, the 5 suspects sat in a tense semicircle. Lord Edmund Ashford, Lady Violet Ashford, Charles Blackwood, Dr. Elias Grant, and Miss Eleanor Price. Captain Hastings hovered by the fireplace, his face a mix of awe and unease. "It's a devil of a puzzle, Poirot," he whispered. "A locked room, poison from nowhere. How do you even start?" Poirot's green eyes sparkled. "With method, mon ami. The little gray cells, they arrange the chaos into order. We question, we observe, we deduce." He turned to the group, his voice calm but piercing. Mesdames et messieurs, a man is dead. Each of you was near the dome last night. Speak, and let the truth reveal itself. Poirot's piercing gaze sweeping the room. Lord Ashford rose first, his hawkish face pale, his tweeds rumpled. I was in the library after dinner, reviewing accounts, he insisted. I heard nothing until Jenny's scream. Poirot's brow arched. The library clock, stopped at 9:15 p.m., was later found wound back. A red herring to falsify his alibi. Accounts, monsieur? Poirot asked. Or perhaps a plea to Sir Reginald's fortune? Lord Ashford, Elias Grant, his spectacles glinting, spoke curtly. I was in my room, checking my medical bag. That missing cyanide vial. It was misplaced, not stolen. His grudge against Sir Reginald, fueled by a ruinous lawsuit, was palpable. Poirot's gaze lingered on the bag, later found to contain a forged prescription. A red herring, or evidence? Misplaced, doctor? Poirot said softly. Or planted? Miss Eleanor Price, Sir Reginald's secretary, sat rigid, her plain features taut. I was in the drawing room, reviewing ledgers, she whispered. Her eyes flicked to Charles, betraying her heart. Rumors of embezzlement swirled, funds siphoned for a life with him. A torn page from her notebook found near the dome hinted at a coded message. Ledgers, mademoiselle? Poirot asked. Or plans for a different future? Her hands shook, her blush deep. A clock ticking ominously. Visuals zoomed to the ice bucket, now in Poirot's hands. Poirot paced, his mind a whirl of connections. He returned to the dome, inspecting the sideboard. The silver ice bucket, its cubes nearly gone, bore a faint almond scent on its rim. Cyanide, masked by the brandy's aroma. The ice, he murmured to Hastings. It is the key. It melts, it hides, it kills. A broken marble tile under the table caught his eye, revealing an empty compartment. A red herring suggesting a hidden trap, but yielding nothing. A new clue emerged. Footprints on the manor's rooftop, spotted by a gardener near the dome's glass crown. Impossible to access without a ladder, they hinted at an intruder. Yet the sealed windows dismissed the theory. A distraction, Poirot muttered. But for whom? Complications arose. A servant brought Poirot a cup of tea, its surface shimmering oddly. He sniffed it. Bitter almonds again. Mon Dieu, he exclaimed, setting it aside. A second poisoning attempt, aimed at him. The tea was traced to the kitchen, where all suspects had access. A bold move, Poirot said. Or a desperate one. A red thread, now linked to Lady Violet's shawl. This, perhaps, is no clue at all. But the eyes. He trailed off, his eyes on Miss Price, who paled. Hastings, flustered, whispered, It's maddening, Poirot. Footprints, threads, tampered clocks, none of it fits. Patience, Hastings, Poirot replied. The little gray cells, they see the pattern. The poison was placed before the bolt, timed to perfection. But by whom? He glanced at the ice bucket, its secret still locked within. Fountain's soft splash, a distant creak of floorboards. Visuals linger on the suspects' faces, guilt, fear, defiance. The morning wore on, the manor heavy with suspicion. Poirot requested the kitchen's ice logs. When were the cubes prepared? The cook confirmed all suspects had passed through the kitchen Saturday afternoon, each with opportunity to tamper. The broken tile, the rooftop footprints, the poisoned tea, they swirled in Poirot's mind, red herrings masking the truth. Yet the ice bucket, with its faint almond trace, held the answer. The method, he murmured, It is elegant, precise, human. Chapter 6. Suspects Under Scrutiny. Welcome back to Christie's Shadows, my dear detectives, where every glance hides a lie. I'm Eliza Hart, your guide through this labyrinth of deceit. If you're following Poison Under the Marble Dome, our Hercule Poirot mystery, you've seen Sir Reginald Blackwood fall to cyanide in a sealed chamber, an impossible crime. Poirot's little gray cells are humming, and the suspects are crumbling under his gaze. We're deep in our 90-minute tale, so settle in with a cozy blanket or a sharp mind. Where are you sleuthing from tonight? A quiet countryside nook, a bustling city loft, or somewhere far beyond? Drop it in the comments and let's dive into Chapter 6. Like and subscribe for more chilling whodunits. If you are searching the way to In the Manor library, where Poirot faces the gleamed. With the human heart, mon ami. Motives are the threads. The little gray cells weave them into truth. He turned to the group, his voice soft but unyielding. Mesdames et messieurs, your alibis falter. Let us probe deeper. Secrets do not hide from Hercule Poirot. Visuals show Poirot's piercing gaze, the suspects shifting uneasily. Lord Ashford, his hawkish face drawn, gripped his chair. "I've told you, I was in the library," he insisted. But Poirot produced the tampered clock, its hands reset to 9:15 p.m. "A curious clock, monsieur, that lies about time. Were you falsifying your alibi, or hiding a meeting?" A search of Ashford's desk revealed forged ledgers, entries inflated to lure Sir Reginald's investment. "Fraud, perhaps?" Poirot asked. Ashford stammered, "Mere errors." But his motive, financial ruin, loomed larger. Lady Violet, her gray dress stark against her pale skin, clutched her locket. "My boudoir, my jewels, that's all," she said. But Poirot held up the hidden letter from her room. Its words, in her hand, threatened to expose an affair with Sir Reginald unless he paid. "Blackmail, madame?" Poirot's tone was gentle, but her eyes widened, her locket clicking shut. The red thread, matching her shawl, lay accusingly on the table. "A careless thread or a deliberate plant?" he mused. Her motive, shame or greed, tightened the noose. Charles Blackwood, his charm fraying, flicked ash from his cigarette. "The terrace, as I said, smoking." Yet the footman's revised account placed him near the kitchen, where the ice bucket was filled. Poirot produced a stack of IOUs from Charles's room, scrawled with Sir Reginald's taunts. "Pay or beg. Your debts, monsieur. They hunger for your uncle's death," Poirot said. Charles's smirk vanished. "He was a miser," he snapped. His intent now in Poirot's hands, then to a gramophone in the corner. Poirot paced, his mind a whirl of connections. He returned to the dome, examining the sideboard. The ice bucket's faint almond scent grew stronger under scrutiny, a trace of cyanide in its melted residue. "The ice," he murmured to Hastings. "It was tampered before the dinner. But who had access?" The kitchen log confirmed all suspects passed through Saturday afternoon, each with opportunity. A new clue emerged. A gramophone in the dome, used to play soft music during dinner, had captured a faint sound, an echo of a whisper through the vent before Sir Reginald bolted the door. Poirot played the record, hearing Miss Price's voice. It's done, Reginald. Pay, or I speak. Blackmail, or misdirection. The vent, too small for entry, suggested a conversation, not a crime. A twist, Poirot said. But does it point to guilt? Scratchy gramophone hum, a faint whispered echo. Visuals show Poirot listening intently, the suspects watching nervously. Complications mounted. The rooftop footprints, dismissed as impossible, were traced to a servant's ladder. Another red herring. But whose? The broken marble tile, thought empty, revealed a faint scratch mark, as if something small had been removed. Poirot's poison tea, analyzed by the coroner, contained a weaker cyanide dose, meant to scare, not kill. A warning, Poirot said, or a clumsy error? The interrogations grew heated. Lord Ashford admitted to altering ledgers, but swore it was to save the manor, not kill. Lady Violet confessed to an affair but denied blackmail, her locket trembling. Charles raged at his uncle's will, his IOUs proof of desperation. Grant's planted vial suggested a frame-up, but his grudge burned. Miss Price's letters revealed her love for Charles, her embezzlement a bid to win him. Each alibi cracked, each motive deepened. Poirot gathered the suspects in the library, his voice a quiet storm. Poirot's mind, red herrings masking the truth. Yet the ice bucket, with its deadly residue, held the key. "The method is elegant," he murmured, "but the motive is human." Visuals zoom out to the dome, its glass glinting like a watchful eye. Oh, my dear listeners, the noose tightens, but the killer remains in shadow. Was Miss Price's whisper a clue or a ruse? What do the vial and the echo hide? Drop your theories in the comments. Who's your suspect now? From where are you unraveling this mystery? Join us for Chapter 7, where Poirot chases the truth deeper. Chapter 7, Clues and Red Herrings. Fade in. Haunting cello notes, slow and foreboding, play over visuals of Ashford Manor's fog-shrouded grounds, the marble dome looming like a ghostly sentinel. The camera pans to Poirot in the Manor's study, surrounded by papers and clues. Narrator Eliza Hart's voice, warm and posh with a British lilt, speaks deliberately, drawing listeners deeper into the suspense with a conversational yet elegant tone. Welcome back to Christie Shadows, my dear sleuths, where every clue is a shadow, and every shadow a lie. I'm Eliza Hart, your guide through this intricate maze of deception. If you're following Poison Under the Marble Dome, our Hercule Poirot mystery, you've seen the net tighten around our suspects as Sir Reginald Blackwood's impossible murder, cyanide in a sealed chamber, defies logic. Poirot's little gray cells are working overtime, chasing truths hidden in a web of misdirection. Where are you unraveling this tale tonight? A cozy fireside? A late-night train? Or a quiet corner of the world? Drop it in the comments, and let's plunge into Chapter 7. Like and subscribe for more Christie-inspired chills. Tring to the study, with the study where Poirot examines a cluttered desk. By the afternoon of Sunday, October 1925, Ashford Manor was a house. No. The leads, they dance. The little gray cells, they follow the rhythm. We chase the false to find the true. He held up the red thread matching Lady Violet's shawl. This, perhaps, is no clue at all, but the ice. That is the heart of the matter. Visuals show Poirot examining the thread, then the ice bucket. Poirot's investigation turned to the false leads that cluttered the case. The red thread found near the dome's door suggested a string trick to move the bolt, an old locked room trope. Yet the bolt's weight and lack of scratches dismissed it. "A red herring," Poirot murmured, "planted to mislead." The tampered library clock, stopped at 9:15 p.m., pointed to Lord Ashford's shaky alibi. But its mechanism was deliberately jammed, a distraction, not evidence. The rooftop footprints, spotted near the dome's glass crown, hinted at an intruder, but the sealed windows and missing ladder made access impossible. "Another ruse," Poirot said. "But whose hand scatters these shadows?" A new red herring emerged. A cyanide vial, found in Dr. Grant's room, was not missing but planted, its label pristine and untouched. Poirot examined it under a magnifying glass, noting a faint smudge of glove leather. Someone had handled it carefully. "To frame the doctor," he mused, "or to divert from the true poison." Visuals zoomed to the vial, then to Poirot's thoughtful expression. The true clues began to surface. Poirot returned to the kitchen where the silver ice bucket had been prepared. A search of the freezer revealed a single ice mold, its edges faintly discolored with a bitter almond trace. Cyanide, frozen into a cube. "The method," Poirot whispered to Hastings. "It is elegant." The poison was in the ice, melting slowly to release its venom. The cook confirmed all suspects had access Saturday afternoon. Lord Ashford fetching brandy, Lady Violet requesting tea, Charles loitering, Grant inspecting supplies. Hides more than words. The click suggested a hidden mechanism, but a thorough search found no secret panels. Was it another red herring, or a clue to the ice's delivery? Poirot confronted the suspects again, his voice a quiet storm. "The ice, mes amis. It carried death. But who placed it? The thread, the vial, the clock, they distract. Speak and lighten your hearts." Lord Ashford, his face haggard, admitted to forging ledgers but swore it was to save the manor. "I begged Reginald for funds, not his life." Poirot nodded, unconvinced. Lady Violet, her locket trembling, confessed to an affair but denied blackmail. "He threatened to ruin me," she cried, her motive glaring. Charles, his cigarette case dented, raged at his uncle's will. "He taunted me with poverty." His IOU, scrawled with threats, deepened his guilt. Dr. Grant, his spectacles fogging, claimed the planted vial was a frame-up. "Someone wants me blamed." His grudge, however, burned bright. Miss Price, pale, clutched her hands. "I wrote to Charles, yes, but I didn't kill." Her coded ledger entries suggested otherwise. Visuals linger on the suspects' faces: defiance, fear, guilt. A new complication arose: a forged Orient Express ticket found in Sir Reginald's coat, dated for the following week. Had he planned to flee, or was it planted to suggest a motive? Poirot's mind raced. "A journey or a lie?" he murmured. The ticket in Charles's handwriting pointed to his desperation, but was it too obvious? The poisoned tea meant for Poirot was another twist. The weak cyanide dose suggested a warning, not murder. Poirot traced it to the kitchen, where a servant recalled Miss Price near the kettle. But so was Lady Violet. "A clever distraction," Poirot said. "Or a clumsy mistake." Poirot returned to the dome, examining the broken marble tile. The scratch mark, now clearer, matched a small key, missing, but suggesting a hidden lock. The dome keeps its secrets enough. Chapter 8. Complications and Twists. Welcome back to Christie's Shadows, my dear detectives, where the truth twists like a vine in the dark. I'm Eliza Hart, your guide through this fog of deception. If you're with us for Poison Under the Marble Dome, our Hercule Poirot mystery, you've seen the net of clues tighten around Sir Reginald Blackwood's impossible murder, cyanide in a sealed chamber, defying all logic. Poirot's little gray cells are untangling a web of red herrings, but new shadows emerge. Where are you sleuthing from tonight? A cozy fireside, a bustling cafe, or a quiet corner under the stars? Drop it in the comments and let's dive into Chapter 8. Like and subscribe for more spine-chilling whodunits. Visuals transition to Poirot in the conservatory, examining a scratched ice mold. By the evening of Sunday, October 1925, Ashford Manor was a house suffocating under suspicion. The marble dome, its marble columns and glass dome now cloaked in twilight, stood as a silent witness to Sir Reginald Blackwood's murder. The cyanide, delivered in a brandy glass via a frozen ice cube, had struck in a room sealed by a bolted oak door and unreachable windows. An impossible crime. Hercule Poirot, his patent leather shoes gleaming, stood in the conservatory near the dome, his mustache quivering with focus. Captain Hastings, ever loyal, paced nervously, clutching a notebook of clues. "It's a devil's knot, Poirot," Hastings exclaimed. "Threads, vials, footprints, whispers. Every clue leads to a dead end." Poirot's green eyes sparkled. "Dead ends, mon ami? No. They are paths to the truth, if we navigate with care. The little gray cells, they see through the fog." He held up a scratched ice mold, its surface bearing faint traces of cyanide. "The ice, it speaks, but the heart, it screams." Rustle of ferns, a soft clink of glass. Visuals show Poirot's precise hand. "The cube was prepared with care," Poirot said, "frozen to kill after the bolt was drawn." Soft scrape of metal, a fountain's distant splash. Visuals zoom to the key, then the ice mold in Poirot's gloved hands. Complications thickened the plot. A second tampered ice cube was found in the kitchen's freezer, laced with a weaker cyanide dose, intended for another victim, or a mistake. Poirot's poisoned tea, a warning from the previous day, suggested the killer was still active. "A bold hand," Poirot murmured, "or a desperate one." A servant's conflicting testimony added confusion. Jenny claimed to have seen Charles near the kitchen, but another maid swore Lady Violet lingered there, adjusting the ice bucket's lid. A major twist shook the case. A forged letter, found in Sir Reginald's safe, hinted at espionage. Written in code, it suggested he'd stolen industrial secrets for a Soviet contact, with Dr. Grant named as a courier. "Treachery, Doctor?" Poirot asked, producing the letter. Grant's face paled. "Lies. I'm no spy." Yet his grudge against Sir Reginald, fueled by a ruined career, now carried a darker edge. Was the letter a red herring, or a new motive? Rustle of paper, a sharp gasp. Visuals show Poirot holding the letter, Grant's spectacles glinting nervously. Poirot confronted the suspects in the drawing room, his voice a quiet storm. "The ice carried death, mes amis, but the motives, they multiply. Speak and untangle your lies." Lord Ashford, his hawkish face haggard, admitted to forging ledgers to lure Sir Reginald's investment. I needed his money, not his life. His alibi, library accounts crumbled under the tampered clock's lie. Lady Violet, her locket trembling, confessed to an affair but denied blackmail. He threatened to expose me. Her hidden letter, demanding payment, suggested otherwise. Charles Blackwood, his cigarette case dented, raged at his uncle's will. He mocked my debts. The forged Orient Express, cunning and patient. Another complication, a staged footprint found near the dome's base, matched Charles's shoe, but was too perfect, as if pressed deliberately. A clumsy ruse, Poirot said, or a clever one. The espionage letter's code, partially cracked, mentioned dome delivery, a reference to the poison or a spy's drop. Poirot gathered the suspects again, his voice sharp. The ice, the key, the whisper, they point to truth. Someone tampered with the cube, knowing Sir Reginald's ritual. Who? His eyes lingered on Miss Price, then Grant. The heart betrays, but the mind plans. Hastings, exasperated, whispered, It's chaos, Poirot. Espionage, footprints, keys, where does it end? Patience, Hastings, Poirot replied, his mustache bristling. The little gray cells see the pattern. The ice was the weapon, the vent a stage, the motive a shadow. We are near. He held the brass key, its purpose unclear. A clock ticking unevenly. Visuals zoomed to the key, then Poirot's piercing gaze. The evening deepened, the manor heavy with dread. Poirot requested the kitchen's ice records. Miss Price had signed for the mold's delivery, but so had Grant. The forged letter, the staged footprint, the scratched mold. They swirled in his mind, red herrings masking the truth. Yet the ice cube with its deadly secret was the key. The killer, he murmured, planned with precision, but left a trace. Visuals zoom out to the dome, its glass glinting like a watchful eye. Oh, my dear listeners, the twists multiply, and the truth slips further. Is Dr. Grant a spy, or Miss Price a blackmailer? What does the key unlock? Drop your theories in the comments. Who's your suspect now? From where are you sleuthing tonight? Join us for Chapter 9, where Poirot closes in on the killer. Chapter 9. The Revelation. Fireside, a moonlit study, or a far-off corner of the world? Drop it in the comments, and let's unveil Chapter 9. Like and subscribe for more thrilling whodunits. Visuals transition to the drawing room, where the suspects sit in tense silence. The evening of Sunday, October 1925, cloaked Ashford Manor in a hush of dread. The marble dome, its glass crown glinting under the stars, stood as a monument to an impossible crime. Sir Reginald Blackwood, poisoned by cyanide in a brandy glass, struck down in a room sealed by a bolted oak door and unreachable windows. The melted ice puddle, the faint almond scent, the tampered ice cube, they pointed to a cunning mind. Hercule Poirot stood in the drawing room, his patent leather shoes gleaming, his mustache a crescent of triumph. Before him sat the 5 suspects: Lord Edmund Ashford, Lady Violet Ashford, Charles Blackwood, Dr. Elias Grant, and Miss Eleanor Price. Their faces a gallery of fear and defiance. Captain Hastings, by the fire, clutched his notebook, his eyes wide. "It's the moment, Poirot," Hastings whispered. "You've got the killer, haven't you?" Poirot's green eyes sparkled. "Oui, mon ami. The little gray cells, they have danced through the fog. The truth, it is clear." He turned to the group, his voice calm but commanding. Mesdames et messieurs, a man is dead, and the dome has spoken. Let us unravel this puzzle, step by step. Visuals show Poirot pacing, holding a small brass key and an ice mold. Poirot began, his voice a melody of logic. The crime, it seems impossible. A sealed room, a bolted door. No entry, no exit. Yet cyanide struck Sir Reginald, delivered in his brandy glass. How? The decanter was clean, the glass tainted. The ice melted into a puddle. The little gray cells, they point to the ice. A cube, frozen with cyanide, placed in the bucket before the dinner. He held up the scratched ice mold, its edge discolored. Leather smudge not his. Grant's spectacles fogged. The gramophone echo. Poirot continued. Miss Price's whisper. It's done, Reginald. Suggested blackmail. But it was misdirection. A staged moment to confuse. Miss Price's hands shook. And the brass key, matching the tile's scratch. A tool, perhaps, but not for a lock. Used to carve the ice cube's poison chamber. Scratchy gramophone hum, a chair creaking. Visuals show Poirot holding the key, his eyes piercing. Poirot paced, his voice rising. The ice was tampered in the kitchen, where all had access. But who knew Sir Reginald's ritual, brandy with ice, every night in the dome? Who had motive, opportunity, and precision? He turned to the suspects, his gaze relentless. Lord Ashford, your forged ledgers sought Sir Reginald's wealth, but murder? Too clumsy. Ashford sagged, relieved yet shamed. Madame Violet, your affair and blackmail letter threatened exposure, but the poison, too bold. She clutched her locket, tears falling. Monsieur Charles, your debts and forged tickets screamed desperation, but your hands are too reckless. Charles exhaled, his smirk gone. Dr. Grant, your grudge and the espionage letter suggested treachery, but the vial was not yours. Grant nodded, his scowl softening. Poirot's eyes locked on Miss Eleanor Price, pale and trembling. Mademoiselle Price, your love for Charles, your embezzlement, £10,000 stolen, hidden in coded ledgers. You knew Sir Reginald's ritual, his glass, his ice. You whispered through the vent to stage a scene. But the ice was your weapon. Miss Price gasped, her voice a whisper. No, I loved Charles, but I didn't. Poirot raised a hand. The little gray cells, they do not lie. The ice mold bears your glove's fiber, found in the kitchen. The ledger's code, seed summoned from London, waited outside. Poirot presented the evidence. The ice mold, the glove fiber, the coded ledger, the gramophone echo. Each red herring, the thread, the vial, the ticket, was explained. Each clue, the mold, the whisper, woven into truth. The suspects, shaken, dispersed, their motives laid bare, but their guilt absolved, save one. Chapter 10. Justice Served. Welcome back to Christie Shadows, my dear sleuths, for the final curtain of our grand mystery. I'm Eliza Hart, your devoted guide through this tapestry of intrigue. If you've journeyed with us through Poison Under the Marble Dome, our Hercule Poirot tale, you've witnessed an impossible crime unraveled by genius and logic. Sir Reginald Blackwood's death in the sealed chamber has been laid bare, and now justice claims its due. As we bid farewell to Ashford Manor, reflect on the human heart's dark corners. Where are you listening from tonight? A peaceful bedside, a starry rooftop, or a quiet cafe? Drop it in the comments and let's savor Chapter 10. Like and subscribe for more timeless whodunits. Your shadows await. The midnight hour of Sunday, October 1925. Draped Ashford Manor in a veil of finality. The marble dome, its marble columns and glass dome now bathed in silver moonlight, stood as a symbol of beauty tainted by betrayal. Sir Reginald Blackwood's murder, cyanide delivered in a frozen ice cube, melting to poison his brandy in a sealed room, had been exposed as the work of Miss Eleanor Price. Her motive, embezzlement of £10,000 to fund a life with Charles Blackwood, silenced by Sir Reginald's threats. Hercule Poirot, his patent leather shoes polished to perfection, stood in the drawing room, his mustache an emblem of triumph. The 5 suspects, Lord Edmund Ashford, Lady Violet Ashford, Charles Blackwood, Dr. Elias Grant and Miss Eleanor Price, sat before him, their masks shattered. Captain Hastings by the window beamed with pride. Reginald Blackwood. She rose, tears streaming, her voice breaking. I did it for love. Charles, he needed the money, his debts, our future. Reginald found my ledgers, the embezzlement. He'd ruin us. I whispered through the vent to scare him, but the ice, it was perfect. No one would know. Charles Blackwood, his face ashen, recoiled. Eleanor, for me? I never knew. His charm evaporated, his debts now a chain around his neck. Poirot's voice cut through the tension. Let us review the motives, Inspector, for the record. Lord Ashford, financial ruin, forged ledgers to lure Sir Reginald's investment. He begged for funds, not blood. Ashford bowed his head, his hawkish features crumpling. I'll face the consequences, Poirot. The manor, it's lost. Madame Violette, an affair, a blackmail letter to silence exposure. Love scorned, but not lethal. Lady Violet clutched her locket, whispering, he promised marriage. Lies. Her violet eyes dimmed, her ruby ring, found in her boudoir, now a symbol of shattered illusions. Monsieur Charles, inheritance greed, debts from gambling, a forged Orient Express ticket to flee. But murder? Too reckless. Charles lit a cigarette with shaking hands. Uncle was a tyrant. I wished him gone, but not like this. Dr. Grant, malpractice grudge, a lawsuit that ruined him. The planted vial framed him, but the espionage letter? A red herring, forged by Miss Price to divert suspicion. Grant adjusted his spectacles, his scowl fading to relief. I hated him, yes, but I'm no killer or spy. Poirot's gaze softened on Miss Price, now in cuffs. Mademoiselle. Unrequited love, embezzlement to win Charles's heart. The coded ledger, the glove fiber on the ice mold, the gramophone whisper, they betrayed you. The red thread from your sewing kit, the tampered clock to muddy alibis, all your clever plans. She nodded, broken. I thought the dome would hide it forever. Under the tinkling, innocently. Poirot stood amid the ferns, the glass dome above framing the stars. Here, mon ami, the crime unfolded. The ice melted, the poison rose, but justice, it endures. He touched a marble column, its cool surface a reminder. Under the marble dome, the poison slept no more. Hastings nodded, awed. To Hercule Poirot, the greatest detective. Poirot smiled. To truth, Hastings, always.